Property Assist understand that business owners are rapidly expanding their rental portfolios and property managers simply can't handle everything on their own. Property Assist are now offering outsourcing in Western Australia, New South Wales, South Australia and Queensland, and can help your team with all their ingoing reports, outgoing final bond inspections, routine inspections, 360 tours, home opens and inventory reports. Find them on your socials. Today we have a group podcast, which basically just means that I've got together 5 other property management experts in Australia to join me for this recording so that we can get a little bit of extra info from a few perspectives. And so I'm really excited to have 5 fantastic options to talk about burnout today. So we're just going to quickly get everyone to intro themselves so that you know who you're listening to. So we'll start with Bec, and then we'll just everyone take a turn and then we'll get stuck into it.
Thanks, Ash. I'm Bec Halton from LJ Hooker City Residential here in Perth. We look after 2,500 properties and I've got about 47 staff under roof.
Amazing. Simone.
Hi, thanks, Ashley. I'm Simone from One Agency Orange. I manage a team of 3 and been in the industry for just over 17 years now.
Amazing. Shelby.
Hi guys, I'm Shelby from Rose Petal Properties. Branched out on my own, so it is only me. And yeah, so new to this business ownership.
Fabulous. Welcome. And Skye?
Hi everyone, I'm Skye. I operate tailored property management in South Australia. I am in my 20th year of real estate. I'm currently just a sole operator, but have managed teams of property managers in the past.
Fabulous. And the lovely Kelly.
So I'm Kelly Seaton from the Leasing Network. We're on the New South Wales Central Coast. We have a small team of 3 at the moment, have had a larger team over the years. But yeah, we're just having a small boutique team here and been in the industry for around 27 or 30 years or something crazy.
Fabulous. And then I am Ash Goodchild, and so I look after SoCo Realty, and we've got, I think, about 15 staff, but 3 of them are in sales. So the rest are property management. So the topic for today was burnout. And I actually don't really even like the word burnout because it's quite like, it's just a bit cliche. It's getting overused. And but I don't know sort of the other word to use to describe what is sort of happening in the industry with people coming out. So we'll just sort of open it up to you all, and obviously anyone can just jump in. But I guess what I would be interested to sort of hear is people's perceptions on what they think is causing burnout in the industry. So who would like to jump in first?
I'm happy to, Ash, if you want. We've had some really aggressive growth, and I think, we've witnessed some burnout internally, which has been, it's been a good experience for us to go through. But I think there's a couple of things. I think the expectation of the client has really ramped up in terms of both the tenant and the landlord. And I'm also finding a lot of businesses. So we've had a couple of property managers come to us and want to work here because where they are working, the business owner doesn't understand property management, doesn't want to invest in property managers, and also probably doesn't have the technology and the support that the property managers need to do a really good job. I think, I think all 3 of those, like technology support and then some leadership, all 3 of those things, if it's lacking in any of those, would cause people to burn out really quickly because they've just got too many balls in the air.
Yeah, I think one of the issues I talk about is sales-led directors and how they can actually be.
I'm a sales-led director, though.
You're a little bit different. But,
they do. They don't really understand the pressures that come with PM. You're right.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Skye? I mean, you've got to manage your own burnout, but when you look at the industry and what you're seeing, what do you think is contributing? And you actually probably had burnout when you did your first round of real estate, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. So when I had my business 12 years ago, I literally burnt out, exited out of the business because there was no one in my corner going, hey, why don't you just have a holiday instead of exiting out? So that was a very big learning lesson. But certainly when I was managing a team of property managers, the biggest frustration for them, and perhaps it speaks to what Bec said, is the lack of the tech, the lack of the leadership, but in the ability to take annual leave and actually recover from what is a very demanding role. So we were constantly looking at systems and how we could improve and actually support the property managers to take leave, because no one wants to take leave when you're coming back to a nightmare of problems and things not being dealt with. So we actually implemented a buddy system. So 2 property managers would be paired up. If one went on leave, the other one would then step in and vice versa. So it kept them accountable, because they knew if they then took leave and they didn't do the job properly, then it was going to be returned to them. So that was really a big difference, because I hear a lot of colleagues who are just tired from running constantly and they just can't get that annual leave or a break to recover.
Yeah. Simone, do you have a system with your team? Like, what happens in your team when people are on leave?
So we do make sure that trying to make everything is covered, or we've also used like an external third party to help assist and have someone come on part-time while someone's on leave. Because there's nothing worse than going on leave and coming back and your inbox is full with hundreds of emails and things that shouldn't turn into a big bushfire do if they haven't been dealt with. I find it very hard to do that, especially being head of the department and business owner. I find it very hard to switch off. I always keep my finger on the pie, even if I'm not in the office, because I just think as a business owner that I have that role and responsibility. I don't feel that I should put that burden on my staff. But yeah, it's definitely something that we all experience. And I think when you reach a certain level in the industry, you have those expectations on yourself, and managing someone's property is a huge responsibility that, I take on quite personally. And I guess a lot of us that are, at the top do as well. So it's a tricky getting that work-life balance. I think that that's a big cause for burnout, because you're just on the go 24/7 and, high workloads. Like you said, conflict management, it seems to be people are going from 0 to 100 a lot faster. And expectations have really lifted a lot since I've started in property management, that's for sure.
Yeah. Shelby, what's your experience? Like, you're out on your own now. So previously, I guess, being an employee, was this a problem for you?
And something that I used to implement in teams was mental health days. So if I could see, with body language, attitude, workload, work performance, if I could see that someone was getting weighed down and struggling, I'd pull them inside and go, okay, let's plan a mental health day you're going to take off next week, where you leave your company phone at work, you don't check your emails, you just have a day for you. And one, it kind of built the respect and the team culture. It really helped with that, because then they could see that I understood where they were at in their work week, and that I was kind of being like, take the time, don't get burnout. So I was trying to do the preventative burnout. And my team loved it, because it's really hard, in yourself, when you can feel that you're getting to that stage of burnout, but you're like, I just have to keep going. I can't admit it. I have to just keep going. And a lot of employees that are still in the industry and that are still passionate about it, they will not admit that they're getting tired and they're getting burnt out. So being able to see the body language and implement something before it gets to that stage, I think that was something that really worked well. But yeah, I totally agree with what everyone said. We also did the buddy system similar to what Skye's done, and pair it up, and it made the world of difference not having someone have the pressure of end to end. It was, a game changer.
And what about you, Kel? With your team, I think that you've probably got it pretty down pat, don't you, with making sure everyone has a break?
Team, yes. I think it really does come down to like leading from the top though, and setting those, letting the team know that they can take time out, or they do have the support. Do you know what I mean? So having that support really matters. I think when I can see that they have some sort of excessive workload, obviously your brain changes into that stress, tired, exhaustion mode. So exactly as Shelby said, maybe that's the call out to have a day off, or to be able to just give yourself some flexibility, because you're obviously going to get nowhere being in that state of mind. The ability to concentrate and be able to do your best is obviously not going to happen there. So yeah, definitely they get lots of rewards and special treats.
Yeah, I've just had a situation where one of my team members resigned. She was with us for 6 months, and I don't get a lot of resignations, but the last two that I've had in 2 years, so both of them after 6 months got out of the industry, and the only factor that I can pinpoint is the fact that they worked from home. And what happened was they both insisted on working from home, and I don't like it, but I had society telling me that, you need to allow work from home and this and that and get with the times. And I allowed it not because I wanted to, but because everyone's saying, well, that's the way the world's going, Ash, like, get on board. And both times I've had people only last for 6 months. And so for me, I feel like that burnout, and that's actually them getting out of the industry, is because they didn't have that support internally and that good team. Or if, in Skye's case where she's, a solopreneur, having the network around you. So even if you are on your own, you can still create your own network. But for me, that's what I found that, and now it means that if I do go and replace them down the track, I'm just going to be really against work from home, because for me, that's just not working for me. Do you guys have someone in your team that completely works from home, and how can you keep an eye on their burnout levels as well?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Many real estate agents across Australia confidently refer Property Insurance Plus to their clients as they recognise the price and benefit value of their policy combined with the client-focused service they deliver. They offer a comprehensive building and landlord insurance facility and have formed a powerhouse to present the very best in investment property insurance. Contact PIP today to find out more.
No, we don't have anyone who completely burns out from home, works from home. I think I agree with you. I think COVID taught us that's not ideal, full-time work from home. I do like the hybrid situation, and we've got really good feedback around that. Our girls can choose to work up to 2 days from home if they want, and it just gives them a chance to get on top of stuff, washing, cooking while they're working. So they do like their work from home, but I don't think full-time work from home is good for anybody. And I'm finding more and more people want the hybrid, but definitely not full-time work from home. I haven't had anyone request that.
Yeah, I'm going to put my foot down next time, I think.
Yeah. Look, even, yourself, you just get in a rut if you're just working from home every day. Even as an introvert, you still need to, get in amongst people at some point to for your mental health. Yeah.
Well, you are in property management, of course, so you've got to, keep those skills up, those people skills up.
Yes,
anyway.
Exactly.
So ultimately, let me just bring out my questions. I think one thing that's really important is being able to know that their work is going to be looked after by a colleague or a business owner on the other end. And I think that's probably where I have like a bit of a issue with those sales-led directors, because I'm not aware of any traditional, not Becs, but traditional director-led directors, sales-led directors who would help take over a portfolio when that person's on leave. So we do have the buddy system, but then I help quite a bit when people are on leave. I'm actually, just a very selfish question, curious, as a business owner, do you guys ever jump in when someone's on leave, or do you leave that just with your team? Let's go with Kel to start off with.
Jump in. That job needs to be handled every day of the week. I actually really love it when I get an opportunity to jump in and manage the portfolio again. It's quite fun, but yeah, it gives you that connection, and just making sure that when that person does come back from leave, that they're not just having to go through the 200 emails, and they're obviously not going to enjoy themselves while they're away. I think my team actually don't take leave intentionally because they're probably fearful of what's going to happen when they come back. So it's definitely a jump in and do what you can role while they're not here.
Yeah. And what about you, Simone? What policy do you have? Like, do you take it on board as a business owner, or do you leave it with your work out?
No, 100% I jump in and take over. I've, put that in place that if anyone is off or needing to be done, that if there's extra workload to take on, that falls onto my shoulders to make sure that everything's managed. But again, I'm a bit of a control freak, so I like to make sure that, if someone is off, that they know it's taken care of, and that they can come back and not have to stress or worry that something's been either left or missed or not handled. I think that's really falls onto the responsibility, because I am able to do that. Then, I see that as something that I can do, and to help my staff know that I've got their back 100% with whatever they need. I think that's really important to try and build a good culture as well, to know that I'm willing to get in the trenches, do the hard yards, and lead from the top.
I think that there is this is good for people to listen to that are potentially running a business but not doing this support for their employees. So it hopefully is a bit of a reality check for them. So obviously we're talking about business owners who help and jump in for annual leave when they're a certain size. So, like with Simone, with your size, absolutely you would jump in. With my size, I'm sort of at that point where I do rely on a lot of the team and their buddy system to support, but I absolutely do a bit. But then, Bec, with your size office, I guess that would come down to a department manager, would it, to jump in?
No, we don't have a head of department. That's me. But I do have a full-time floater she's a senior property manager and just covers all the leave. But I've also got a team of VAs who are basically trained up as property managers as well. So they'll take a brunt of the VAs will take a brunt of it. And then the floater just jumps on and, gets involved with the landlord side of things. Yeah. So we've got some pretty tight systems around that, but our team definitely know when they take a holiday, they take a holiday. That is a big part of mental health. I also think, just on that, Ash, I feel like, and I see this a lot with head of departments and, property managers, this control, it's always been like, oh yeah, you're a control freak, you'll make a really good property manager. Or you need to stay, it's like you need to stay on top of everything. What I've found, and we've really spoken about this a lot in our business, is, you can't attach your value to your busyness. And I talk about this all the time, because as soon as you start attaching your value in our business to how busy you are, you won't let go and delegate the things that don't need to be that need to be delegated. So we're really big on the senior property manager's sole role is to build relationships with their landlords, create wealth, and really be proactive property managers with their clients, and all the rest of it can be delegated. And I feel like that's really allowed that mental load to soften when they're very, very clear on what their role is with the landlord, and all the other stuff, all the balls in the air, the lease renewals and the MA renewals and the maintenance, everything's taken care of either through software or virtual assistants, and they're just managing that sitting on the top. So we've tried to get rid of we're working towards doing 100% of the work in 80% of the time for 100% of the pay. That's our motto here. So we want you to get paid more, work less, and be less stressed.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the control, because that was my next question is, are we too controlling? So I'll throw that one over to Shelby and also Skye. Do you guys think that we are, as property managers, too controlling, and is that affecting us potentially taking that leave?
You want to go first, Shelby?
Yeah, 100% we are. But yeah, it's really hard to, I guess, separate the two, especially as business owners. I know personally when starting my business, I had a plan that I'm only going to cap the amount of properties I'm taking on. So right now, I've only got a space for 40 new clients. And although I'd love to grow, and this means that I can't grow as quickly as I want, it means that it's not going to compromise my well-being or my mental health, and it's not going to compromise the service I'm providing. Because whilst I do have my mum in the back end doing all my accounts and admin, I'm still the face of the business. I'm still the one talking to the tenants and dealing with the owners. So it's on me as to how much I do control. Where do I draw that line? And it was something that I had to set from day one, is that I'm only doing this many properties. And I will not say yes to anyone. Like, your property has to kind of suit the demographic of what I'm taking on and where I'm trying to take my business. Otherwise, I won't manage it. And I think that was really important for me from day one.
And you're a bit like that too, Skye, aren't you? Quite selective with who you work with.
Yeah, and there's definitely a plan in place for the growth to manage, I guess, the capabilities and capacity to make sure that we don't reach a burnout point, because we are very controlling when we're business owners, but wanting to strategize, okay, if we're at X a number of properties, what support do we need in order to keep managing that successfully? And certainly when I was managing teams of property managers, the control sometimes was a bit of an indicator that the wheels might be falling off. And so they're not wanting to take lead. They're not wanting to step away from it because they've got perhaps some spot fires here, there, and everywhere. And if they were to step away, that would then be discovered. So for those who are managing teams, that was certainly something that I noticed during the time, if people were reluctant to take leave or to step away from it.
Yeah, I know that for me, what we're trying to work with our office is something that I've noticed, where in property management, you've always got a list of things to do. And when you've finished with doing the urgent stuff, you just work on everything else, and you continue to work and there's always something to do, basically. But what I'm trying to do is get to a point where the team's got tasks, and then when the tasks are done, you go home. And a little bit sort of like what Bec's sort of suggesting with that, cutting down the workload to 80%, I'm sort of trying to do it so that when you've done tasks, your job's done, you go home, whether that's 12 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., whatever, but we don't carry those things, so that we can align ourselves with businesses where, checkout chick, where you do your job, you go home, and there's nothing else to be done till the next shift. So I guess that's sort of where my brain's always going and trying to achieve with our processes and systems. So we're not quite there, but it's definitely a goal. So to finish off, I think we've sort of really said that, number one, identifying burnout is something that we probably don't really identify very well. So getting better at that with our team. Business owners, making sure that they're the ones responsible for keeping an eye on this. I know everyone's responsible for themselves, but business owners being responsible for keeping an eye on people that aren't taking leave, or if they're not taking leave, even encouraging those mental health days that Shelby mentioned, which I think is a really great idea, and giving them confidence that they will be able to go on leave and everything be looked after. So really having a responsibility to make sure that when they return to work, that everything's like nice and easy for them to slip in. So let's just finish off with maybe an idea of something that you do in your business, whether it's for yourself or for your team, that is considered a bit of a mental health treat to help prevent burnout. So we'll finish off with those tips from everyone. Let's start with you, Bec, and we'll go along.
I think we do a lot of personal development around, just how to. We don't do a lot of property management training anymore. My PMs have been with me for, I think, an average on 12 years. So they all know what they're doing. They're all really good at what they do. But we do a lot of, personal development around, we talk about, I get finance specialists in, I get health specialists in, I get dietitians in. So I am always trying to make their lives a lot better outside of the business, just so they're, I think that's just the balance we give. We also have a rule as a mum in this office, as a parent, we have a rule that you don't miss a sports carnival. So that whether you're getting a certificate at school, a dance recital, whatever it is, you don't miss it for work. It's just not that important. So I think that gives our team a bit of a balance that they like.
Amazing. Simone?
So I think having regular check-ins with your team and doing team building activities are really important, so that they feel comfortable if there is something, or if they're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or getting to that stage, that they're able to actually communicate that with you, so that you can have that support and put things in place to, be able to bring them back on track, rather than, people not feeling comfortable to be able to talk to you and then they just, put in their resignation or get out of the industry.
Amazing. Shelby?
I think mine will be a little bit on the flexibility side. So yeah, checking in with your team, and I'm all for don't have strict hours. Like, you don't have to be in the office from 9 to 5. If you have something on in the morning, personal appointment, you do you, just get your work done, and we're here for you in between. So I think the flexibility for me is a huge thing with the team.
Great. Skye?
Well, I can't really speak to the team as such, but I make sure that I prioritise my health and wellness in order to balance the demands of running a business. And I think everyone has a little mental health toolkit that they use. And that's something that I am more mindful of now, having been through burnout, and how to identify it and stay on top of it before it gets to that point, and reaching out to a support network, between social media, everyone around the country who's so willing to collaborate and help. That's been really useful.
Fab. And what about you, Kel?
It comes down to wellness and well-being for me, and family is always first. So I think Bec mentioned it earlier, if there's something on that they need to go to, just go. That takes priority over your work. Your work can fit in. It's not a 9 to 5 job. So if you do pop out for an appointment, you can obviously catch that up here or there if you're still needing to get through the day. But yeah, definitely to do with the mental, physical health and fitness side of things. We've even had like a counsellor come in, and we've had a group chat, just things like that, just to have that check-in individually, so you know how they're doing in a personal sense as well as in a work sense.
Yeah, great. And for me, I run the team where they get paid to do a job as opposed to certain hours. So for me, that has really made a big difference with our team. So they know that they can attend to all those personal bits and pieces, and that their pay is not associated with the hours actually that they do. So that's something that works. I know it's not going to work for everyone, but it works really well for our office and allows them to deal with all their personal and family appointments. And I'm a big believer that if they're happy at home, they'll be happy at work. So definitely making sure that they are satisfying, everything in their personal life with relationships and children and their own health and things like that, because that has made a massive difference with us. I had a funny story I actually brought up with one of my team yesterday, and when she was single, and we're laughing about the day that I let her have a Tinder day off, and it was just, she needed to go, she wanted to go on a date, she couldn't on the weekends because of the kids, and she had asked if she could go on a date on a Wednesday. I was like, absolutely. And I always laugh because it was actually worked so well, because I actually found she was so productive because she was, just satisfying her personal social life and things like that, like within reason, I know, but it really made a big difference with culture. And obviously it was only here and there, it wasn't even a big drama, but I think that there's lots of options and ways that you can be flexible as a business owner, and hopefully sort of the ideas that everyone here has shared, it's a good reminder of, no matter the size, whether you've got a big agency like Bec, or if you're a solopreneur, or if you've just got a small team, there is something that you can do to adapt and help. So I hope that people listening can resonate with some of you guys, and make sure that they're identifying that burnout in their office, because the last thing we want is people to leave, because it is going to put more pressure on everybody as well. So thank you guys for your time. Thank you for being the first people on a group podcast. It was, I wasn't sure, I limited it to 5 people because I was like, I'm not sure how this is going to work with like voices and names. And you guys were so good. There was like no overlapping of talking or anything like that. So thank you, guys did a great job.
Thanks, Ash.
Thanks, Ash. Bye.
Thank you.
On Tap Plumbing and Gas covers all Perth areas from Mandurah to Turox and has a team of plumbing, drainage and hot water experts. They have an amazing reputation for their excellent service and quality workmanship on time, every time. And it is easy to see why they are a favourite to many Perth property managers. Whether you just need some friendly advice or an obligation-free quote, look no further than On Tap Plumbing and Gas.